I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Okay, Sunday morning, the perfect time to knock out a bunch of questions about atheism. So let's get to the next batch of questions. Moral Heathen asks, have you ever seen or read anything that ever made you question your atheism? If so, what was it and how did you deal with it? I think that's a great question. And it jibes also a little bit with John from Facebook's question. And he says, since the church is generally based on but what if, is there any part of you that thinks, well, maybe, for example, he doesn't think that there's a man in the sky that judges everything we do, but he can't say for certain that something didn't create the universe and there's not a purpose for it. In my adult life, in the last 25 to 20 plus years of active atheism, have I ever seen anything that's made me question it? Not directly, not really, but I try my best to question my beliefs at all times. I try to self-assess where my belief systems and my thoughts are coming from, whether or not they are founded or whether or not they are based on just something that I fabricated on my own or some bias of mine. It is a self-assessment technique and that I've come up with over the years just to keep myself honest. So I have questioned my beliefs, but have I seen anything in particular that made me question it? Not particularly. Now, in the time of being an active atheist, things have changed and arguments have changed over the years. The emergence of the intelligent design argument came up in my lifetime, and I looked into it as an intellectual curiosity, but also to see where they were coming from and if there was any validity to it. Because it seemed like they were trying to bring a scientific aspect to actually bring scientific evidence into the discussion that there was an intelligent designer. I soon came to the conclusion that they had a pre-decided a conclusion, and had been formulating what they observed and the rules that they came up with in order to reach that conclusion. That they are also very anti-science, that they have decided to restrict what is possible in discovery in science in order to fit their agenda to call something an intelligent design result. But I did question, I did look into it because I want to know whether or not I'm making my own thoughts up whole cloth. And it comes into John's question about whether or not I ever have a well, maybe question in my life. And the fact is, I am a creative person, and so I have a fantasy prone aspect to myself, but I am aware of it. And because of that fantasy prone aspect of myself, I do have these well maybes and what if type thoughts. These fantastical notions come to my mind quite readily, but I've had to exercise the self assessment muscles in my mind in order to keep that aspect of myself from pushing my belief system. Is this a fantasy aspect of my thoughts, or is it based on the actual observable, logical, rational evidence that's out there? So, do I ever think, what if? Sure, I do all the time. But I don't let the kind of what if fantasy aspect of myself, at least I try not to, I don't let that aspect of myself bias my way of observing the universe and what I see around me, because that way lies error. Okay, slightly connected, Nami Gage from YouTube asks, are you one of the few who still believe in some sort of afterlife? Or do I believe that once it's over, it's over? And this also connects to John from Facebook's other question, who says, what do I think happens when we leave this mortal coil? So do I still believe in some type of life after life? No, I do not believe in that because there is no reason for me to believe in it. So I don't do it. Do I know that there's not? No. But as far as we know, scientifically and through observation, the consciousness of people and the personality is strongly tied to the, or is it's completely tied to the physicality of our brains, to the chemical of our brains, that processes. So there is no reason for me to believe that after that process breaks down, that the consciousness that of that person continues on in another form. Do I believe once it's over, it's over? Yes, true. That's because that's as far as we can see. That seems to be the case. Do I want that to be the case? I don't want to die any more than anyone else does. If someone somehow we come up with a way of finding out that yes, life does go on and consciousness does continue on, show me. That's awesome. We don't die. That would be great to know. It's something a lot of us wish were the case. But just because we wish that to be the case, I don't think we should be projecting that self-serving desire onto the universe. And lastly, let me bring in one more from A. Bradley. He was from YouTube, and he says, as someone who used to be atheistic, Satanist, I'm assuming that means like a LaVeyan type of Satanist, and has since converted to Luciferian Satanism, I'm wondering, have you ever considered the possibility that there may be something beyond the mortal material realm, or are you absolutely set in the belief that there's nothing beyond this life? And have you ever thought about converting to a less orthodox religion? Have I ever considered the possibility that there's something beyond the material realm? Yes, I have considered it. Well, being that I came from a believing worldview, that was part of my life. But so I have considered it, and that's one thing that, and this is not what A. Bradley is saying, but a lot of people believe that if you don't believe in something, that you haven't even considered the possibility. I've considered the possibility of there being something beyond the material realm. I just don't happen to believe there is. The problem with the idea of there being something beyond the material realm is that material realm is a little too broad. The concept of beyond is a little too vague for me. As far as I'm concerned, if something is beyond the material realm, that means we can't interact with it in any way whatsoever. And if we can't interact with it in any way whatsoever, it essentially doesn't exist. So then, who needs to deal with it? But if you can interact with it, it is something that can affect the material world. That means it's measurable. That means it's likely repeatable. It's interactable. Which would make it kind of material in some way. So the whole concept of there being something beyond the material realm is just a little too wishy-washy for me. If it's within the material realm, we should be able to interact with it and measure it in some way. Now, if you're talking some type of spiritual type of aspect, I don't believe in such things, but mainly because there's no reason for me to believe in such things. And again, is that immaterial, or is that material? I'm not quite sure how to classify that type of thing. So no, I have considered it, but I do not believe in such things. Let's see. Also, do I believe that there's nothing beyond this life? Currently, yes, that is what I believe. Have you ever thought about converting to a less orthodox religion? No, I haven't. And the reason I can say that so bluntly is that, because you said religion. Religion is a system and a methodology of either worship or ritual that fills an aspect of a person's life. And my life is filled. The beauty aspect, the spiritual aspect, the emotional aspect of my life is filled within my material life. I don't have any need for any type of third party imposition of ritual on my life to fulfill any aspect of it. So unless that need came up, I don't have any need for it. And that's beyond theism, because there are people who are culturally religious, that are culturally Catholic, let's say, and they still don't really believe in God, but it is part of a ritual that is a part of their life, and they like having that aspect to it, and so they still engage in it, even though they're not really theistic. They just don't take that part. They take the part that they need. I don't have any need for religious ritual or association in my life. And so, no, I haven't really considered converting to a less orthodox type of religion. That'll do it for this video. I'm trying to keep these to around 10 minutes or so. So thanks everybody for your continued questions. I'm going to get to more of these. Once again, add questions to the original video of call to questions or in the comment thread here. Keep the conversation civil, and I'll talk to you soon.
That's my job. That's what I do. I don't lose. I win.
Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Maybe you came by to congratulate me on last night's victory.